I think we both saw that your timeline was pretty much dead on.
Yeah.
And we saw the change occur, and then we saw the things that are now happening with more phone calls and more leads.
Hey, Miller, how are you?
I'm well, Cooper. Thank you.
Good, good. I wanted to introduce Miller. He's the owner and founder and lead attorney of Miller Leonard PC out in the Denver area, more specifically, Lakewood, Colorado. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me, Miller. And I wanted to go over, I know you've been an amazing client and a friend of the brand for a long time. And I wanted to see and sort of have you on, talk about your experience with WiseGuys and sort of, go over that for anyone that may be thinking about working with us and then really get an idea of the results that they could expect.
Sure, thanks. So, for some background, I've been in practice now just about 23 years. I spent my first 5 years to 6 years in government work, and after that, I've been in private practice. Part of private practice for any law firm is marketing. And any marketing in today's age involves the internet. And before I started using WiseGuys, I had used a number of different online marketing platforms and companies who made lots of promises.
Yeah.
And one of the fortunate things for me in my marketing plan was that one of the first people I used promised and delivered, and then they left the business.
Yeah.
And what I got to see after that was that the person who took over in that capacity for in that job promised but didn't deliver.
Yeah.
And I started to realize after a series of different groups and companies I used that promises are one thing, delivery is another.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is really good about WiseGuys is that you're clear and concise on what you promise,
Yeah.
and what you promise matches up to what you deliver.
Yeah.
And so when we had our initial conversations,
Yeah.
when we started to work together, one of the things you were clear about was it does take some time
Yeah.
to readjust a strategy.
Yeah.
But once that strategy is readjusted, you will see more phone calls, you'll see more leads generated to the email, you'll see more people coming to your website. And in our work, we've actually reformed our process a couple of times, and we changed, and when we changed the second, and for the second time, and that was something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You were clear with me. You set real clear goals and expectations, and you said this will take some time. Here's the amount of time it will take. And I knew that was going to be right because in the past, that's what had happened. And sure enough, I think we both saw that your timeline was pretty much dead on.
Yeah.
And we saw the change occur, and then we saw the things that are now happening with more phone calls and more leads. And I think that's an important thing for people to understand as well. There was something that nobody could have predicted.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, our business plans didn't.
Yeah.
We never sat down beforehand and said, "Well, there's going to be this major pandemic that will transform the scope of what we're trying to do."
Yeah.
And you worked with me through that situation, as I'm sure you did with all your other clients, because when things just shut down hard,
Yeah, like because Denver,
we were all in a new environment, and you were able to adjust. You were able to deal with a problem that wasn't your doing or my doing or anybody else's, and that's important because I've worked with companies that I think would have just said, no, just keep spending the same amount every month that you have. It doesn't matter. You have to, because you'll lose rank and position.
Yeah.
And you didn't say that. And
Yeah.
you had a plan, and you spelled it out on what it's going to look like and what we need to do. And you're also able then, when things started to change, to come back and say, well, I'm getting the feedback from you that things are changing in your area of the country.
Yeah.
So you didn't use your area as the benchmark. You were asking me what's going on in my area of the country. And then you started to make suggestions. Maybe we should do this. How about doing this? And there were good suggestions.
Yeah.
And they were on target as to what we were trying to do. And the other good thing about it was I would ask you questions, and sometimes you would say, well, I don't know, let me look into that.
Yeah.
And that's helpful, because sometimes, especially like in my profession, I don't know the answer always, and I have to tell somebody I don't know. It doesn't mean I can't know, it just means I don't know. I think that's right. And you took time to understand the area and not make assumptions. And we spent time talking about the differences in the Denver metro area. People are familiar with the Denver metro area. It's a big geographic area. There's a lot of differences between the counties that make up the metropolitan area. And so realistically speaking, just having a target of Denver is so large and so unfocused that it doesn't make sense for a firm like me anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So what would be your favorite part, I guess, this is sort of a broad question, of working with WiseGuys? Would you say that there's one pivotal thing that you're, so that I know, just so I can, make sure I implement for other companies, that you're like, hey, this is the reason why I stick behind WiseGuys and one of my favorite parts?
There's probably two things that come to mind right away. One is ease of communication.
Yeah.
And the second is that you strive to work with me and to come up with the proper marketing plan for my firm.
Yeah.
And what I've experienced in the past is that there's a one size fits all plan that other firms want to implement.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of work in hiring marketing companies, and oftentimes I've not hired a marketing company because I've thought, well, it's not that it's so much a bad plan.
Yes.
It's just not the plan that would work for me, or it would work for me, but it would require me to do things that aren't really what I want to do. And so I think that it's important that people who are considering you, that they understand that you have a scalable service. I've never felt that you have categorized me into whatever level of customer, of which I don't know. So I don't know, but I'm sure I'm not your biggest. And so, but I've never felt less than important in your company and to your company and to your success and my success, being equally on board. And sometimes, I would say that with other marketing companies, I've definitely gotten the feeling, and sometimes explicitly been told, well, you're not going to be our biggest client, so this is what you get.
Yeah. And that's huge. So again, I wanted to thank you for your time. I know you're very busy, and again, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
All right, thank you again. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right.